can't hear you.
Yeah, check. Can you hear me now?
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I can. Okay.
Cool. All right, ready to go here. Here we go. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Wednesday afternoon/evening. Another edition of KnicksFanTV's live simulcast with Bleacher Report, CP the Fanchise in the building. On today's show, we're going to talk about those Game 3 adjustments. Knicks and the Pistons will tip off on Thursday, 7 p.m. for the Little Caesars Arena. So we're going to talk about how the New York Knicks can take this series back. And joining me today, he is a friend of the program, man. You can catch him daily, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Give and Go on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86 with our guy Rob Perez. And during the regular season, you can catch him on Bally Sports New Orleans as the color analyst for the New Orleans Pelicans. He is my guy, Antonio Daniels, AD in the building. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. We got another good one today, so let's get right into it. All right, AD, man, welcome back, man. How you doing, man?
I'm awesome, CP, brother. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm glad I got a day of rest, man, because I was in the Garden Monday night. It was a tough one to get through. Yesterday was a tough one, just trying to figure out where things went wrong. And so that's why I called you, man. I was like, I need someone to really break this thing down for us. And so I'm glad you're able to give us some time after Give and Go, man. So thanks a lot.
For sure. Thanks for having me, brother. Always a pleasure to join you.
Yes, absolutely, man. So the Detroit Pistons did tie things up after Game 2. 100-94. They beat the Knicks after the Knicks make a ferocious comeback, being down 15, but just couldn't close out in crunch time. And the big question in this one was what happened to Karl Anthony Towns. 10 points in this game, only 3 touches in the second half, and 0 points in the fourth, no free throws at all. Here was Tom Thibodeau meeting with the media today. I'm going to play this soundbite, and then I kind of want to get your reaction on the whole Town situation. Here we go.
There's been a lot of talk about whether Cat got enough shots, enough attempts in the second half. Do you need to make any sort of conscious effort to get him involved more?
Well, I think part of it is, if they're going to commit to 2 and 3 people on him, I don't want him forcing shots. But there's things that he could do also, and we can do to get him a second and third look. So that's what we have to try to do. And then I think, there's ways in transition that we can search him out as well.
Okay, so Tibbs says he had a lot of attention. Look, give credit to the other side. We got to put context. Tobias Harris did play him well, I thought, when, Detroit goes with the wing matchup and not Duren. Tobias Harris did play him quite strong as compared to Game 1. But what do you think? Because after this game, everybody's wondering who's to blame here. Is it Brunson? Is it Tibbs not running enough sets for him? Or is it Towns just not being aggressive enough calling for the ball? How do you see it? Did we lose him? Still there? Okay, we got you there.
There you go.
Did you catch the question?
Yeah, well, I heard the question where you were talking about who's to blame.
Yes, that was kind of like the main conversation yesterday. Is it on Brunson, Tibbs, or Towns?
Here's my thing. I think there's enough blame to go around here. I may understand the era that I come from. Right? My NBA career panned from 1997 to 2011. And I feel like sometimes the best offense is a simple offense. Right? I think it's a disservice to Karl Anthony Towns and the New York Knicks when you allow Karl Anthony Towns to play in Tobias Harris's arena or to play in Asir Thompson's arena. Whoever it is that they're putting on Karl Anthony Towns. Right? As long as he's tippy-toeing the three-point line, that's a win for the Detroit Pistons. My thought is if he is a mismatch, if I have Tobias Harris on him, right, advantage Karl Anthony Towns. If I have Asir Thompson on him, advantage Karl Anthony Towns. Why not put him on the box? I don't care if he gets attention or not, because when the attention comes, what that does is that makes the game more stress-free for everyone else, right? I don't think that I think they're doing a disservice by him constantly tippy-toeing that three-point line. His size, his physicality is something that Tobias Harris and anybody else on the Detroit Pistons, not named Jalen Duren or Isaiah Stewart, who wasn't even in uniform for game 2, that they can deal with on that box. So why not put him there? Now, if they want to switch and say, all right, well, let's put Jalen Duren on him, now you make Jalen Duren play in Karl Anthony Towns arena. I feel like it's letting the Detroit Pistons off the hook if you're allowing Karl Anthony Towns to simply tippy-toe that three-point line.
And I definitely agree with you there. But is this a function of, because this was always my question with Towns when they brought him here, because we've kind of seen these inconsistencies before. We saw it in the Western Conference Finals against the Mavericks, where people were looking, even his teammate, Mike Conley, hey, we need him more around the rim. This was Conley on record saying we need him more around the rim and finishing through contact and finishing over the bigs. But then you had situations where Dallas is putting smaller wings on him, the PJ Washingtons of the world, pushing him further and further away from his spots. So that's where I'm just like, man, is it more the effort needed for Towns to establish himself there, or is it a coaching factor? That's where I'm kind of lost.
And I hear you. If I'm Karl Anthony Towns, I'm coming into a new situation. One of the reasons the Knicks offense was so good this year is because of Karl Anthony Towns' skill set. That's one of the reasons. The last thing you want to do in the most impactful and important time of the year is forget all that. You know, like, oh, well, let's make it Jalen Brunson time. And yes, Jalen Brunson is probably the NBA's clutch player of the year. I get that. But there also has to come a point in time where you understand where your sidekick's not going, and I need to get him going. I always say, CP, that the point guard position is not a skill set, it's a mindset. It's a thought process. There are a million guys in this league that have the skill to play the point guard position, but the mind is something different. And this team, meaning this New York Knicks team, they will not reach their potential. They cannot without Karl Anthony Towns. They cannot.
Yeah.
Any way you look it down, Jalen Brunson, you can be nuclear, you can go off, you can be the clutch player of the year. If you don't have that Robin running with you to be impactful, his ability to stretch the floor, put that ball on the floor and get to the rim and take advantage of his size, the New York Knicks will not get past the Detroit Pistons. They need Karl Anthony Towns. Now, that comes from everybody. Karl Anthony Towns, first and foremost, has to be more accountable, has to be more aggressive. Jalen Brunson has to recognize when he doesn't have it going and give him the basketball. And Thibs has to become more offensively creative, right? Let me put Karl Anthony Towns in some advantageous situations. So I think when I say there's enough blame to go around, I literally do mean that.
Yeah, a combination of the three. I definitely get that. And the Brunson conversation is so interesting, man, because in the previous 2 years, when they got to this point, you needed him to be the 30-point guy, right? You needed him to fill it up because you didn't have Julius Randle for 2 years. The 2 years ago, he was very limited. Last year, he wasn't there at all. Now you've got help all across the board, but then you have in game 2, a season high 46% usage rate for Jalen Brunson. Only passed the ball to Karl Anthony Towns 12 times.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for the Knicks. And as much as, if I'm a Knicks fan, I love the growth and the trajectory of Jalen Brunson. The bigger picture here is about the success of the team, right? You think about what made them both all-stars this year, because they both ate. They both ate. Jalen Brunson doesn't have to be the Jalen Brunson that he was last year, right? There will be different times throughout the course of the season or different times throughout the course of a particular series that he may need to turn it up a little bit. But again, you go back and think of championship teams, right? And the Knicks, they have to have that championship thought process. No one's ever done it on their own. The closest I can think of in recent history is Dirk Nowitzki, right? Where he didn't have a clear-cut identified Robin. You know, you had some guys here. Jason Kidd was pretty good. Jason Terry was pretty good, but there wasn't a 1A and a 1B. Right now, if I'm Jalen Brunson, I have to understand that who I was a year ago was awesome for that time. But you know what? Times have changed. Now you have Mikal Bridges. Now you have OG Anunoby, who's better than he was before. his offensive game. Now you have a Karl Anthony Towns who is a walking mismatch for opponents. So my job as a point guard is to now understand how can I make the game easier and stress-free for everyone else while still finding a way to eat myself.
And that was the big question when after he got hurt in the Laker game late in the season, and they were showing, obviously without your star, the ball tends to move better, right?
Sure.
Because you're not relying on the guy. However, it wasn't being really reflected in the win-loss column, but you had guys like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges kind of emerge and get into a comfort zone. So now it's kind of like a resetting to reestablish that chemistry.
And let's keep it 100, though, CP. Let's keep it 100. I understand that the Karl Anthony Towns piece is the most, I guess, the easiest to talk about, the hottest topic. But I'll tell you what stood out for me in game 2. And I'll say the same thing that I said on our SiriusXM show. My career spanned over 13 years. And a lot of that time was coming off the bench. You know what my job was? My job was to go in and flip the game, bring energy into the arena, right? However it may be, defensively, offensively, get a breakaway dunk, whatever it may be. Cam Payne did that in game 1. He did that in game 1. So I'll ask you a question, CP. How do you do that in game 1 and only play 4 minutes in game 2?
4 minutes.
Because I can make the argument that Cam Payne was just important in game 1 as Dennis Schroeder was in game 2. So how do you explain after I come in, I change the game, I put energy into the building, I'm talking trash, I have swagger going, I have Madison Square Garden going crazy, my energy is infectious, but then in game 2, I only warrant 4 minutes? So I feel like just as much as we can sit here and talk about Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, for me, the most relatable topic is to Cam Payne and the impact that he had in game 1 and the freedom and impact that he wasn't allowed to have in game 2.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And it was a head-scratching decision there by Thibodeau. I mean, he did pick up the 3 fouls in the first half, but hey, you got 6 to use. He only had 4 minutes total in this game, which it seems like it was all of those first half minutes. So for a guy who, that fourth quarter lineup in game 1, with him sharing the backcourt with Jalen Brunson, that was rather impactful. And you just mentioned it, like, I look at him in a way that, look, is he on the level as Dennis Schroeder? I think Schroeder's a better player. I think you'd agree there. But as to get another ball handler out there who can push the pace a little bit, yeah, he might turn the ball over, but that's what they have on the bench. So I would go to that and maybe put him and Jalen Brunson in the backcourt together and see if you can make some magic, get some energy going there.
Use it until you get all you can out of it. That's my thing. As a guy that's come off the bench, put me out there, give me an opportunity to fail or succeed one way or another. But don't, especially after I played that well in game 1, where Cam Payne was a big piece why they won game 1. Right? Yeah. Give me an opportunity in game 2 to have some sort of impact on the game, negative or positive, one way or another. Don't just give me 4 minutes after I was just so impactful in game 1. Now I'm wondering what my role is now moving forward to game 3.
Yeah, it's an interesting question to ask. CP the Fanchise, Antonio Daniels on the 1s and 2s. Salute to everybody in the chat, Knicks Nation worldwide. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get a couple quick questions in with AD, hit us up on the KFTV Discord, and we will get to you guys. One of the things I was saying for most of the season with the Knicks in terms of their style of play is I like when they play fast. Either pushing the pace offensively or getting defense to offense where they can get out in transition, especially when you have a guy like a Josh Hart out there. That's his A game. You can get Mikal Bridges going a little bit more, OG Anunoby as well. And Josh Hart said the same thing. He said after game 2 is that, their pace is too slow. Oftentimes, Detroit is picking up Jalen from 94 feet. He's, methodically pushing the ball up. Maybe he's arguing with the ref a little bit. And before you know it, you're over the half-court line, and you got 12 to 14 seconds to get something going. What do you think they need to do there in Game 3 just to pick things up a bit?
I will tell you this, CP. Every team says that. Every team says they want to play faster. Like that is a NBA staple statement. Everybody wants to get the ball up with 16 seconds still remaining on the shot clock so you can go through all of your offensive progressions. But understanding to play at that pace, it takes a few things. Number one, you got to get stops. You got to get stops. It's hard to play with pace if you're constantly taking the ball out the net.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's tough. Number two, you got to be in the shape. You got to be in the shape to get up and down like that. The biggest thing that I've noticed from game 82, and this isn't a New York Knicks Detroit conversation, but this is a postseason conversation period. The biggest thing I've noticed from game 1 to game 82, and then from game 82 to game 83, is the physicality is ramped up times 10. What the officials are allowing now in the postseason that they didn't allow in the regular season is visibly different.
Yeah,
it's a lot tougher. The game is not as free flowing as it was in the regular season. So there's not as many fast break opportunities. You're not getting up and down the floor at that same pace. Look at the Laker game last night. Both teams scored under 100 points. Lakers in Minnesota. Because these games that we are watching now, it's almost like there was a message that was sent down to the officiating crews, similar to the message that was sent down last year to the officiating crews around All-Star break time.
Yeah.
It says, listen, you know what? We're going to let these guys play through some things. And now it looks more like 90s, early 2000s basketball as opposed to 2025 basketball. And you know what that means? The game is less free-flowing, which makes it more difficult to play with pace.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's certainly noticeable. It was noticeable when these two teams met at the end of the regular season, and it's the same carryover now. I was like, man, the Knicks are going to have to get used to this because this is what they're going to see in the playoffs, and they can't. Look, I expected the Pistons to force the issue and play like a more desperate team in Game 2. So when there was a lot of talk about the free throw disparities and things of that nature, I wasn't surprised. I expected the Pistons to get that, but the Knicks have to go out there and fight for that as well.
Right. Like, I feel like if I'm the Knicks, and I've said this from weeks back, if I'm a New York Knicks fan, you know Rob, who's my co-host, is a New York Knicks fan. And I told him months ago, if I'm the New York Knicks, the team that I don't want to see first round is the Detroit Pistons. That's the one team that I don't want to see. Yeah, I can take Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks or whoever it may be. The team that I don't want to see is the Detroit Pistons. Because sometimes your inexperience you don't know any better. You just go out and you hoop.
Yeah.
And they have enough experience. And Dennis Schroeder, who you referenced, and Tobias Harris, and Tim Hardaway Jr. But then the other guys that they have are physical. Like, they have an identity. The Detroit Pistons, to me, are the best story in today's NBA, in my opinion, because last year they were the laughingstock of the league.
Yeah.
You know, so to watch them come out and play as hard as you're going to have to match their physicality. There's no way around it. It's almost like turning the clock back to the 90s where you're playing against the bad boys. If you go in and you allow them to set the tone, you're already starting out behind the starting line. You know, you have to be able to set the tone physically when you're playing against the Detroit Pistons, because them and the Houston Rockets are two of the more physical teams in the league that you cannot allow to dictate the terms of engagement.
Great point. And it's a great segue, because when we talk about setting the terms and setting a tone here, the Knicks were out rebounding in this game by 14. And a lot of it is, you know, obviously they're running with a smaller lineup. They want Cat out there at the 5, the way that they're spaced, so on and so forth. Now, when Mitchell Robinson is in the game with Karl Anthony Towns, I think you see productivity. They're getting after it on the boards. He's their best rebounder on both sides of the ball. Now, Mitch only gets 20 minutes in this game, nowhere to be found in the fourth quarter. And here's what Tom Thibodeau had to say about these two guys playing together, and maybe some more Mitchell Robinson minutes in Game 3. Here was Tom Thibodeau with the media today.
Karl and Mitch on the floor together. What have you seen from that grouping?
Yeah, and there's been some good. Obviously, there's some that we could do better. The rebounding part of it has been good. But also, you got to look at the matchups. Who do they have on the floor? And then, you know, what are you vulnerable to? And so there's times it's been really good.
So that's what Tibbs says. He even had Mitchell Robinson closing at the end of the first half, and when they asked him why at the end of game 2, he said, well, he was the only one rebounding. He talked about it at the end of game 2, we needed more rebounding. But now he's saying there were some good things, they rebounded well, but we're vulnerable in other areas. But my question is, why not try to dictate the terms with your two bigs out there, control the glass? Maybe you keep the Pistons from getting out in transition. If you have more offensive rebounding opportunities, why not go there?
I think of different ways to unlock Karl Anthony Towns. And I'll take this to another conversation. Remember when Anthony Davis was in LA and he kept saying, I just want to play the 4. I don't want to play the 5. You know why? Because if you look at today's 4-men in the NBA, there's a clear-cut physical advantage for 4-men. You know what I mean? When Karl Anthony Towns is at the 4, he has a clear-cut physical advantage. When Anthony Davis is at the 4, think about what today's 4-men look like. Today's 4-men look like Tobias Harris.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Today's 4-men are smaller in stature. So now if I'm Karl Anthony Towns or I'm Anthony Davis, in the words of Shaquille O'Neal, I see barbecue chicken. You know what I mean? I see a guy that I can walk down to that box and get any shot I want at any time. Why I like having Mitchell Robinson in the game is because it doesn't give Jalen Duren the freedom to simply roam, right? Because even if you do put Karl Anthony Towns on that box, what they're doing is they're running Jalen Duren at him. So now there's some size. But now you're so worried if I'm Jalen Duren about going to double team or spy on Karl Anthony Towns that now I'm leaving Mitchell Robinson open at the front of the rim for offensive rebounding opportunities. And you see this a lot in today's NBA where they're turning back the clock with double bigs, right? You see it in Oklahoma City. You see it in Memphis. You see it in so many different scenarios now of teams that are in the playoff. Minnesota. So many different teams are playing two bigs because there is an advantage to playing two bigs, right? Especially when one of those bigs can stretch the floor. Playing two bigs and both of those guys are 5 feet apart from each other, now the floor shrinks. But the fact that Karl Anthony Towns has that offensive skill set to shoot the ball from out to 30 feet, but can also post up and take advantage of a smaller guy, I feel like that enhances both of what Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson potentially do well, especially in the game at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the thing is, where Tibbs is saying, we have to see where we're vulnerable. Look, I've been a big Josh Hart guy. You've seen him. You've called his games when he was there with the Pelicans. I love Josh Hart. And to me, his skill set with this team, a lot of it has been on the rebounding side of the ball. Last playoffs, he was averaging 11.5 boards a game. Now he's back down to 7. And then on top of that is, if he's not going to hit the 3, if they're leaving him wide open and he's still not hitting the 3, and he's not spacing the floor for them, you're vulnerable there as well. So why not have your best rebounder out there to get yourself some second chance opportunities and bring Hart off the bench?
CP, and here's the brutal reality of the playoffs. It's not about egos. It's about doing whatever is needed to do to win the series. That's it. And certain matchups are good for certain teams and bad for certain teams. Certain matchups are good for certain players and bad for certain players. The thing is, I know Josh Hart really well. And if you ask Josh Hart, what's more important? Like winning the series or you playing minutes, right? You know what he's going to tell you? Winning the series.
Yeah.
Because you know what next series brings? Another opportunity. And maybe next series will be a better series for Josh. Maybe this isn't the series for him. I'm not saying it's not. He hasn't looked like himself in the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. Maybe this isn't a series. But if it's not, if you happen to match up with who would it be in the next round?
Celtics. Definitely
the Celtics.
Yeah.
Maybe that's more of a series that's more geared toward him as far as his ability to impact. So for me, as from a coaching perspective, I have to do whatever it takes to win the series, even if that means hurting some egos along the way.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Cade Cunningham had a sensational game in game 2, over 30 points per game, He drew the OG Anunoby assignment. After the game, OG said, hey, these guys are running several screens at me, several screens.
Right.
He thought some were illegal, but hey, this is the playoffs and you got to go through it. How did the Knicks counter that? I saw where they had success one-on-one. They had success in the traps. They've had success shading him to his offhand where he's had to make a play there or shoot from the left side where he's not comfortable, but he still got his. What's the key for Cade here?
Here's the thing, man. There are players in this league, CP, that you're not going to stop. It's impossible. It is impossible. Like, you have to understand good offense is going to beat good defense any day of the week. So you can throw different bodies at him. You can throw different coverages at him. And the thing about Cade Cunningham, I feel like is very underrated, is his intelligence, right? He can understand what's needed and then exploit it. And he has the skill set to actually complete it. A lot of players don't. It's one thing to be able to see a play. It's another thing to have the skill set to complete that play. He can actually see it with his eyes and then complete it. He is a walking mismatch. He's a matchup nightmare because of his ability to handle the ball, because of his strength. And there are different guys that you can target on the Knicks. There are different guys that you can target. The Knicks all year have been in drop coverage in as far as pick and roll is concerned, which I'll never understand. I'll never grasp that concept. But if you're in drop coverage in any screen and roll that comes with Cade Cunningham, now you're giving him the best of all worlds, right? I can pull up if I want to. I can play with the guy in my hip pocket. I can survey the court. I can keep the big in no man's land. I can attack with a full head of steam. I can stop at 10 feet and pull up, or I can draw the big and throw a lob to Jalen Duren. So I feel like it comes to a point where you're going to have to press that star. Press that star and make him make a quick decision, not give him so many options and opportunities coming out of pick and roll coverage.
Yeah, he was sensational. And then one of the things I saw his adjustment also in game 2 was he wasn't waiting for those traps to come. He was making his move pretty quickly and then setting the tone, attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line. I thought he did a great job there. And then again, I like how they run Schroeder with him to get him some of those off-ball opportunities. And then Schroeder hits the big 3 at the end of the game to pretty much seal it. And once again, we had Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart admitting miscommunication between the two of those guys.
That's been an ongoing issue all year, though.
All year.
It comes to a point where, you can only say my bad so much. I used to play for Greg Popovich. And one of the things that Pop used to always say to us is, stop saying my bad and show me different. Stop saying my bad. I know it's your bad. Show me different, right? Think about how many, I think about the last time they played in Madison Square Garden, where Malik Beasley hits the 3, right, on miscommunication. Like, it comes to a point where the miscommunication early on is understood. When you get 15, 20 games in, it's like, all right, now we need to tighten some things up. Now, when you start talking about the postseason, some of the issues that the Knicks are having now in April, right, in the second and third week of April, are issues that you should have in October. Right? So it comes to a point where you stop saying my bad and stop saying it was miscommunication defensively and address the problem.
But it didn't seem like they had those chemistry and communication issues last year. Is that the coach, or is that these players just not connecting? For me,
that's the players. That's the players. The coach can't do much as far as communication is concerned. You have coaching staffs on the side you have game plans. We're going to switch 1 through 4, or we're going to switch 1 through 5, or we are going to hard hedge, or we're going to trap, or we're going to blue, or we're going to ice, whatever it may be. You have these defensive schemes that are in place. It's on the players to execute, though. It's on the players to execute, right? When they're screening action that's coming or pick and roll action that's coming, it's on the 2 players that are present to talk through it. If you don't talk through it, that's not on the coaching staff. That's on the players that are actually involved in the action.
Yeah, and it's difficult, man, because you see these late game situations, and Brunson, he's got to be the hero on the offense, but defensively, he's a mark man as well. And so they're running him ragged on both ends of the floor, man.
But most stars in today's NBA, especially at the guard position, are. Teams are going to target Steph Curry. Teams are going to target Luka. Teams are going to target Austin Reeves. Teams are going to target Damian Lillard. So, like the two-way player, like having Kawhi Leonard at the guard position is very rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Having that guy is very rare. So what you're giving up defensively, you better be able to surpass that or exceed that from what you're bringing to the table offensively, which all of these guys that I just referenced do.
Yeah, good points there, man. So as we look ahead to this game on Thursday, 7 p.m. Game 3, going to be a raucous house at Little Caesars Arena. What are you going to be looking for out of these Knicks, man?
I'll be honest with you. I'm interested to see how the Knicks respond because Little Caesars Arena is going to be lit. Understand, this is a team last year that lost 500 games in a row, right? And they were the laughing stock of the league. And calling games for the Pelicans for the past 6 years. The last 5 years that I've gone into Little Caesars Arena, all you see is the backs of chairs. That's all you see. But now when you go to these Detroit Pistons basketball games, you see Jalen Rose and Chris Webber and Anita Baker. Now it's back to the Bad Boys and Motown and all this stuff is back. So I would love to see the Knicks have that bunker mentality, that us against the world mentality, because that's what it's going to feel like. Because Little Caesars Arena is going to be as hyped as it's been probably since that arena even opened. So for the Knicks, I feel like, which I don't think they did in either one of these games, they need to go out and set the physical tone as far as physicality is concerned. If you allow the Detroit Pistons to push you over that line and now you're more reactive, that Detroit has already won that battle. Because I feel a lot of teams, when you play against the Pistons and when you play against the Houston Rockets, the battle starts here. It starts in between years. As far as the physicality is concerned, the Knicks need to come in with an aggressive mind frame from the jump, not at the start of the second quarter, not needing a 21-0 run to get back in the game, not needing to fight back down from 15 points to get themselves back in the game. It needs to start from jump.
Yeah, good stuff there, man. Well, hopefully, man, we can catch up either at the conclusion or later on in the series. I know you put in a 3-hour day on Give and Go, man, so I definitely appreciate the time and the insight and the analysis here, man. Antonio Daniels, appreciate you again, man.
TP, all love, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was our guy Antonio Daniels in the building, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. What did you guys think, man? AD was talking that talk. I told y'all here, man, we only bring quality guests on this program. And that loss Monday night just had me in a state. I said, I got to get AD. I got to get AD on the phone, man. I need to talk this through. And he's the best. I told y'all, man, when I be going on my worst take rants and going in on Draymond and Shaq, you had Shaq the other night talking about Karl Anthony Towns. What a fantastic performance in Game 2. You had Ernie telling him he didn't score in the fourth quarter. He scored 10 points. So you got guys like Shaq who, even when he's getting paid to watch the game, he's not watching the game. AD watches the game. I tell you, I put him up with anybody in the business, man. Real talk. So, we're just fortunate to have people like that in our network. And we could bring him on the show and talk things through, man, because I really had to get through this game. This game, too, really had me in a state. I was tight. And they're going to be going up against it for Game 3. Salute to A. Lotzi, $20 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you and your support. Definitely appreciate that, man. Salute to our sponsors, man. The sponsor of tonight's show. Salute to our guys at Morgan & Morgan, man. Let me tell you guys about Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. With over $25 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. For example, in Florida, a client received $12 million after the insurance company's best offer was just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million, a staggering 40 times the insurance company's original offer of $650,000. So Listen, man, these people are going to fight for you. And we all know that all law firms are not the same, but Morgan & Morgan is a name that you can trust. So if you've ever been injured, you can check them out at Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. So free unless they win. So that's a great deal there. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/KFTV, or you can call them, which is pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. Pound 529 for your cell phone. Or like I said, you can go to forthepeople.com/KFTV. And once again, this is a paid advertisement from our friends at Morgan and Morgan. Okay. What else are you guys thinking about as it relates to this series? So to all my Fanchise channel members in there, forever a lot, they got to come out and punch the Pistons in the mouth. Yes, absolutely. Logic, sir. Long time. How you doing? Bench has to score more than 8 points. Man, this is cardiac Cam, right? The guy who I didn't want in the rotation. Now I'm like, why didn't he play more than 4 minutes in the second game? Because look, man, Deuce doesn't have it right now. Landry hasn't scored yet. It's harder. The defense is harder. As AD said, as we can see with our eyes as well, they're letting a lot of things go. So you need more ball handlers. And Cam Payne, even though he'll give the ball up, he'll cough it up. He'll give you a lot of we don't need that. Right now, you could argue that we do. Will from LI. Will, how you feeling, man? How you feel? Salute to my guy, Will from LI. Mellow Mike in the building. Salute to Mellow Mike. Respect Shaq. Sit Shamit and go 8-man rotation. I mean, I think the way the Pistons are playing, man, I think you need as many guys as you can get. I think you're going to need some fresh legs. I mean, the 2 games off will certainly help between now and then, and also between game 3 and game 4, you get another 2 games off. Step it up. Reduce the Hart minutes. We got to figure out the Hart situation, man. Give me more Mitchie. Get after it on the boards. And if it's not that, then, hey, I got to go either to Cam or I got to go to Deuce. I'm not ready to bail on Deuce because we still need potential, shooting potential that they got to respect. So the Hart situation is just tough, man. It's tough to watch guys like Asar Thompson or Jalen Duren just playing free safety out there. Robin Child Hurry checking in. He says, I'll be at game 4, 10th row repping. Let's go. Shout out to Robin, man. You coming down from, you're from Calgary, right? Shout out to Robin. I know Jay Cal's going down there. He told me he's going to be at the game with Ben Stiller. Says, my question is, why did AD say that the communication between Josh and Brunson is different now than last year? Not sure why, but he did say that's on the players. That's on the players, man. You got to go out there and execute. I mean, that was tough to see. Dennis Schroeder just stepping into a 3, man. Like, Cap, come on, man. Gotta play smarter. Okay, you live in Chi-Town now, so Robin was able to score those tickets on Ticketmaster. He lives in Chi-Town. He was one of the people that they're going to allow in. Little do they know, he's one of us. So shout out to Robin. All right, salute to everybody in the chat once again. Who else we got in here? Yeah, TM, yeah. TM, I'll send you a message in the Slack on that note. Feature Cat early and often. I tell you, man, these are the times with Towns. I'm just like, what do you think in the Julius or Towns trade? I'm like, hey, well, we weren't going nowhere fast with Julius, but it's still a question mark that you bring it in here. Towns has to exercise those demons. I did find it funny, though, where it's like, after game 2, everybody was like, no, it's on this guy, it's on this guy, it's on this guy. It's a combination of 3. The pros will tell you. AD just told you it's a combination of the 3. Melo said it. It's a combination of the 3. It's on Brunson. It's on Towns. It's on Tibbs. Got to get on the same page, man. We shouldn't have a series where game 2, you 2 all-stars. This should be Jokic and Murray. They should be just flowing. It's the playoffs. It's beyond game 82. I'm disappointed in that, man. So, we got to get it together, man. We've got to get it together. Who else we got here? Remember that the show is available in audio podcast format, so no reason to miss it. Salute to the replay gang. Today was a great show. Make sure you guys are sharing this, man. Like, share, and subscribe. You guys already know. What else did I want to announce here? Watch party. Get your tickets to the KFTV watch party. And once again, that is at KFTVwatch.com or KnicksFanTV.com. We will be back at the Ainsworth. We'll also have the NFL draft on as well. So if you guys want to come down for the NFL draft and also the game 3, come down at the Ainsworth, Midtown, 45 East 33rd Street. Get your tickets at KFTVwatch.com or KnicksFanTV.com. All right, so make sure you're getting your tickets there at the for the watch party at the Ainsworth. Also want to shout out another one of our sponsors of today, and that is LinkedIn. And for you small business owners out there, as a fellow small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it on your network, and you get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. So for my example, like I put up a job posting for a social media editor. This was way back when we started. And that's how, for some of you guys that remember Knicks Fan TV Dave, that's how we found Knicks Fan TV Dave. I posted a job listing on LinkedIn. They send you the resumes, the matches, very intuitive system, easy to use, a lot of things within one click. So you don't have to like click around and look for things. Found Knicks Fan TV Dave. Brought him in, set up the interview, and the rest was history. Now, Knicks Fan TV Dave has now moved on to ESPN. And based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small and medium-sized businesses using LinkedIn say that LinkedIn helps them find highly qualified candidates. So find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/KFTV. That's linkedin.com/KFTV to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. All right, who else? TM says, my guy, Dave. Yeah, man. Salute. Oh, we got a new Fanchise channel member, DNK81. Salute to you. Rare edition, salute. TM says, CP's coaching tree's better than Andy Reid. Yeah, that's facts, man. Dave. Shout out to Ash. Ash she's around on CBS Network, Sports Network. Yeah, we did. We got some new sponsors, man. Morgan & Morgan for your personal injury needs, and LinkedIn. So some of you small business owners, if you're looking for people, go ahead and use LinkedIn. Their job function is very good. Okay. STG says, did you see Julius's efficient 27 last night? We missed that, and the ball handling. Hey, he's playing well. They lost, but he's playing well. He needs his running mate, Ant-Man. Ant-Man's got to get locked in. He's catching fines and all of that. Ant-Man's got to get locked in. But Julius is playing better. And a lot of these guys, Conley and these guys, gave him a lot of credit for how he's playing and how his play really helped him get to this point. They got potential. Next game tomorrow. I forgot NFL draft. JJ says, who do I want? Hey, give me the best player available, man. The Giants need help in so many ways. Like, if they think this kid Carter is going to be the real deal, hey, I'm a pass rush guy. I believe the game is won in the trenches between the offensive line and the defensive line. That's where I want my stars to be. You can kind of fill in from there. Of course, you want the star quarterback, but, we got to get the edge rushers thing situated. Burns, I thought he had a fairly decent year. Thibodeau, he's a little finesse for me, man. Like, I need somebody who's going to body people up, man. I need a monster on the line, man. So, if they feel like he's going to be the best, I'll go with it. You know, my guy, I asked Tiki Barber. Tiki thinks he's going to be the pick. Abdul Carter. My guy, John Schmelk from WFANGiants.com. Make sure you're following his content. He thinks it's probably going to be Carter with a possibility of trading up to go get the QB. So, look, they've done all this work on Shedeur. If they don't believe Shedeur is it, and he turns out to be like, the second coming of Michael Vick, then they need to get fired anyway. But they did all this homework, all this work on Shedeur. If they don't think he's the right guy, all we can do right now is trust that they're right. I would have loved to have gotten the Miami kid. I really like Cam Ward. Hey, thank Drew Lock for that. People were making that debate about whether or not you should be tanking in football. I'm absolutely all on board for it. Roll the tank out. But hey, players play with pride. The motivation of a player, motivation of a front office in football are always at a head. Can't blame them for playing hard. What are you going to do? Ask them to lay down? These guys are playing for their jobs, playing for a bag. Joe says he's not fast enough to be Michael Vick. I know. I'm not making a direct comparison, but all I'm saying is if they did all this homework on Shedeur Sanders and then turn around and, he turns out to be way better and they pass on him, then we don't have good talent evaluators. I also don't like the character assassination of Shedeur Sanders. I think it's out of whack, but that comes with the territory of being the son of Deion Sanders. It's unfortunate, but that's just reality of the business. I think he handles himself very well, class, professionalism, and I hope he's successful wherever he is. Maybe it's here. I'll take the chance on him. But if you're telling me this kid Abdul Carter is a game wrecker in the trenches, I want that. They need a lot of guys. I want a big target receiver. Please. Either a tight end or a big target receiver, man. I like Neighbors. He's very good. I like him, and I hope they can keep him happy because he's got that like LSU diva mentality that all these LSU wide receivers have. I like him, but you got to keep him happy. But I also want a big target. I don't know why these guys think Darius Slayton is like Jerry Rice, why he keeps on surviving. But I'd love to move on from him. I do like Wandell, but you got to give me a big target, man. Do I have the link for Mando? Yeah, go to Mando.com. Promo code KFTV, $5 off the starter pack. DJ Thunder, let me know. What do you guys think about my Giants thoughts? Like, give me a big target receiver, the end, somebody in the trenches, and a quarterback in this draft. I'll be fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, Hyatt. Total waste. 2 years, the guy caught 3 balls. The guy can't even run an out route and catch a ball. Can't even run the deep balls that they throw him half the time. So, hey man, that's my soapbox for today. Salute to everybody in the chat. G-Man fans, make a comment. Who do you guys want in the chat? In the draft, hey, Jets fans, make sure you guys are following my guy Jake Asman as well. Will Latimer, salute to you in the A. And, hey, salute to the replay gang. Thank you again to Antonio Daniels. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Like, share, and subscribe. Flow 174, I see you. Need a dominant O-line. Okay. All right, fellas. We'll see you guys tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again to our sponsors, Morgan & Morgan and LinkedIn. Peace.